name is Charlie Hendricks.
He hates her. He wants her off the island.
One of those people down there is the killer.
Hello, and welcome to Series 4 of Jam Presents, a podcast series by me, Mike Groves, and a good mate of mine, Jason Cripps. We're here to investigate the murder of Charlie Hendricks alongside Channel 4's new murder mystery reality TV show, Murder Island. Murder Island Episode 6, the one we've all been waiting for. As per usual, we'll get into the episode itself and how things panned out, but first we need to address a few things. Nowhere near as much preamble required this week, since we no longer have to catch up on everyone's thoughts and theories. We know what happened. However, firstly, I conducted a poll on Twitter. Unfortunately, set the end time 24 hours after I started it instead of 5 days. So we only got a snapshot of what people thought last Wednesday. However, most people thought Ishbel and Sonia were going to be the killer. A few people thought Jean. Very few people thought Freddie. Doesn't make any difference anymore. Just thought I'd raise that. Secondly, the Murder Island inspired giveaway is now closed. We've had a dozen or so entries, and after we've discussed this week's episode, we'll go through who everyone thought the killer was as part of that hashtag that we put out there in the last episode and why they thought they were the killer. We'll do the draw live on here. They didn't need to know the killer. It wasn't about who was right and wrong. It was very much just provide us an answer, and we'll do the draw live. We'll get in touch with that person and tweet about it. We'll show the prize off, which includes, should we talk about what it includes? I think we ought to mention.
Right, yeah, go for it.
So we've got a hot water bottle that is very close to the one that was found.
This is the worst.
At the crime scene.
What's that show where you have to remember everything that goes past you on a conveyor belt?
Generation Game.
Yeah, that's it. It's like shit prizes like that.
Cuddly. There's no cuddly toy. We've got a diary with a peacock cover. Mate, I've got a dictaphone. That's a prize. I don't know if it works. It's coming from eBay, but might do.
How amazing it would be if there's a tape in there.
Well, I did look at the tape ones, and then it was actually cheaper to get a 2 gig inbuilt memory one. So sadly, it's not one with tapes in, but that would have been good, wouldn't it? We could record something on it though. I'll let you decide what we put on it. Maybe that thing we were singing before we started recording. At the recommendation of Beth, actually, I also ordered a police lanyard from eBay, and
you can just buy them, can you?
You can just buy police lanyard. I know that's not good, is it? That's not good. I think they've got NHS ones as well. Just getting anywhere. Yeah. And then a packet of mini cheddars as well.
Just one packet.
Well,
from a multi-pack.
Yeah, because I did go to buy a big pack today, and they didn't have a big pack, so I thought, well, I'll just get a multi-pack and give them away instead. And then I ate 1 pack, so it might be 5 packs of mini cheddars. I haven't decided yet. Depends how hungry I feel.
The time you send it, it'll be 4.
It might not be any.
3. Right, so you might receive mini cheddars, you might not.
You might not. If any of the other things were edible, I'd be on it as well, but no. So yeah, nice little parcel. We'll put some pictures on social media in the next few days once everything's arrived, because a few things taken longer than expected, but also along with the winners' details and how they can get in touch with us. Yeah, DM us. We'll be there. DM me. I say us because Jason's never going to read it. Unless I screenshot it and send it to him and say, this is cool.
That's the only way I see the tweets, pretty much.
Yeah.
When you screenshot them and send them to me.
Yeah. My phone is full. Antonia will often say, oh, can I look at the photos from holiday? Oh, yeah, you can. And then she's like, where are they? I was like, oh, you have to go back through about 150 screenshots of tweets before you can see our daughter on a slide and things like that.
It's like I'm off the grid, but very much on the grid at the same time.
And look, before we talk about the episode, we also need at the end of this to talk about some bonus content that we hope to have later this week/month. For now, let's go on to episode 6. So I want your 2-word summary of only tonight's episode. We'll talk about that entire series at the end. Give me your 2-word summary of tonight's episode.
for me personally, anticlimax.
Is that 2 words or is that one? I mean, it's a 1 or 2 word summary, but yeah, okay. I'll take it.
What about yours?
Manic satanic. Did you see the sticker on the back of Logan's laptop?
That's brilliant.
Or episode 7, and you have to raise, because there's a question mark after the 7, you have to raise the pitch of 7, because I felt, and again we'll talk about it later, but I felt like there really could have easily been a 7th episode to this.
Yeah,
and I think
no,
perhaps that's why you felt it was anticlimactic, maybe.
Well, we'll get on to why.
I
know, like, historically, I'm like always negative about stuff, or a realist, some might say. Some, not all.
But no, you're not pessimistic. I think you do look to you do find the gold in things, and you do look for the positives. But if they're not there for what you were anticipating, and I think that's what it comes down to is look, we'll talk about it later. But did we all big it up more perhaps than it needed to have been? I think that's possibly a reason why it was anticlimactic, or you found it anticlimactic. I overall, as a series, I'm really satisfied with it. Was I a little bit disappointed with the last 15 minutes? Yes, I was. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, go on.
So we're reminded at the very start of this episode, I've put a note to future Mike that those mini cheddars went down well, actually, because I was eating the mini cheddars at the very start of the episode. We were reminded about the IVF. We were reminded about the dictaphone, the loss of Andrew and Nick in the last episode, and the other investigators earlier on in the series and things like that. And this episode was titled To Catch a Killer. It was on day 8 of the murder investigation. And we see Sarah and Richmond prepping for their Ishbel and Logan interviews. We're also reminded by Maka that Alicia still had motive, and there was her DNA at the house, and she never gave a reason as to why that was there. We saw Freddie again with his 2-piece cue, and he reminds us that, is it one of the most innovative things in snooker or something along those lines? I mean, the triangle's pretty good to keep the balls together, but yeah, that 2-piece cue. Tony and Sonia always looked dodgy. And that Freddie was still potentially violent. Jean was upset over the pregnancy. So at the start of the episode, we are reminded, look, everybody is still a suspect. There are still many reasons why people...
It could be anyone still.
Yeah, could have easily killed Charlie. And I thought for a little while that was the way it was going to go, was that actually we're going to see loads of interactions before the end. Now, I did start writing in my book upside down, so I do have to turn it around and find out where I went from. So Logan and Ishbel are being repped by Amma and Bobby, the 2 solicitors that we've seen already.
Easiest thing ever to be a lawyer. Is
right, surely.
Because when would you ever go in and say to your client, is it client?
Client, yeah.
You say, right, when the police come in, just tell them everything. You would never say that. Like, it's always going to be like, just say no comment.
Yeah, that's £250 an hour, please. It might be more. It might be more than that. Or I'm going to get lambasted by all the lawyers that are listening to us saying, are you joking, mate? I ain't get paid that much.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, they charge a lot of money to write letters and represent. So, and that was before they even started talking. No comment. You knew that it was coming.
It's just funny how both of them suggested it.
Yeah,
it's like chapter 1 in the How to Be a Lawyer book. Say no comment.
Yeah, can you confirm your name, your date of birth, and your address, please? No comment. No, at least we got that detail out of them. Sarah was going to ask the questions. I like the bit at the start where they prepped themselves for interview and they were saying, okay, Sarah, you're going to ask the questions. Rich, you're going to deal with the solicitors. And they did that quite well. I thought throughout. There's criticisms occasionally, but actually I thought they handled themselves way better than I would have in that scenario in interview.
Oh, definitely. And Sarah seems like the Mike to Richmond's Jason, because he's just sat there watching Sarah write so many notes, just nodding. Yeah, write that down as well.
And staring down the people in the in the room, in the interview room. And then when I start looking a bit helpless against the solicitors, you could be like, no, hang on a minute, I thought that was fine. Fuck you. Yeah. So Ishbel, I'm sure she said that she was born in 1979, which would make her 42.
That's what I did quick math.
Yeah, and I didn't I think she was 42. I thought she was older than that.
Mm.
No, the camera adds 10 years, I think. Is that true? And yeah, we mentioned Richmond handling Amma like a pro, although he didn't necessarily like it. I thought he did well to say, at the end of the day, she was only quoting the fact. She was saying, oh, your mum's next door, 4 cold walls around her, thinking about her poor little boy and all this.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't get that emotions involved. I thought it was a very good tactic.
I love how Sarah raised, what did you mean by live by the sword, die by the sword?
Mm.
Which is something I raised.
Yes.
I would have had her down the station days earlier. Case closed after 5 days.
Do you know what? There are quite a few tweets of people saying, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. One in particular.
Told who, though? Told who?
Oh, no, like told us, as in we're tweeting us.
I said it was her. I said it was her. Told you.
Yeah. All right. But anyway, Ishbel looks like she's ready to crack. They then say, oh, you need to focus on the emotional bond. I think Maka and Sai in this episode really come into their own. They're really supporting, because they've only got one team to support. They can come together, and both, I just think those two as sidekicks to Palm have been absolutely brilliant throughout. Palm is great, but you don't see her that much. Maybe get 5 minutes in each episode. And she very much is the Alan Sugar of Murder Island. Whereas those two are Karen and Nick. I keep saying Karen and Nick. I'm sure it's someone else now, but back when I watched The Apprentice, it was Karen and Nick. But I think they're real shining lights that have come from this series. We hear the dictaphone recording. We ask the question, what happened to Gregor? And I'm rushing through this because, obviously we know what's happened now, so we don't need to focus too much on what actually went down. But Logan began to crack and said, he terrorized us every night. We then get the account. Oh no, actually, we also hear that Sarah was going to do the mother to mother thing, and we hear her talking about her kid, and then really getting into Ishbel's mind. And I loved that. It was such a good tactic.
And I even like Sarah and Maka sort of commended.
Yeah, they were nodding on that and being like, "Yeah, fair play, brilliant." We find out that Gregor used to drink a lot, attacked Ishbel, strangling her or attempting to strangle her, and Ishbel says if she didn't kill him that night, then she'd have been killed, and then Logan would have followed. So she picked up a poker and killed him. I presume it was picking up a poker rather than playing him at poker. It's like a dangerous game of cards.
Yeah.
The stories are the same. They're corroborated, and as far as I'm concerned, they did it all in self-defense. And at this point, I had them marked down as not the killers. They've admitted to that, and you can fully understand why they did all that.
Do you still? I mean, I don't do law. But if someone's just admitted to murdering someone, even in self-defense, do you just let them go?
Well, this is the thing. They're like, oh no, they're free to go, but surely you'd then be
to kill more people in
them
self-defense
on manslaughter charges or something. Like you've both just said, Ishbel killed. She could be detained for longer than the 24 hours. Surely. Yeah. Big call out that. Didn't write it down, but you're absolutely right.
Like still murder.
And they said, look, the lawyer will
manslaughter.
Yeah, they did say, the lawyer will, tell you to focus on that. They will just say, just hone in on the self-defense element, which is fine. But even that brings a charge of some sort, surely.
You think so? Even
if it is what do they call it, where you've done your time already? Because it was like 6 years ago or whatever.
Oh yeah, but it's not like statute of limitations. No, something like that.
Oh, I can't remember. But they would have almost served their probationary period or whatever they would have served that time.
I thought if you did a crime and then like 50 years passes, they can't do you for it.
No, I don't mean that. I mean that if you commit a crime and then you've been living with that guilt for so long, say if you robbed a Mars bar when you were 15, and now we look back over some CCTV footage and we're like, you bastard, oh, you'd have got a month in prison for that. I don't think you would for stealing a Mars bar. I don't think it's that bad. Some countries, but
Snickers,
they would look back and say, oh, but you've done your time because it was years ago.
But how have you done your time? What, mentally done your time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but they've got no guilt whatsoever. It's like, that was a good Mars bar. I don't care.
I mean, it does.
There's a difference
case
from
by case,
living with guilt and being in a tiny box. And like, I mean, a tiny box being a cell, not like some coffin they put me. I mean, I've never been in prison myself. I've only seen it on TV. It could be little coffins, but
I can't remember what it's called. Someone will tweet and say it's called this, you idiot. But there's something where you've done your time before you get
How,
served.
you haven't done your time up.
No, I'm just saying what the rules are, you know?
Mike's rules.
Yeah, Mike's rules. That's what it is. I'm sure someone will tweet in and just say it's Mike's rules. Anyway, we move on. We see more clips, shady clips of the other characters, like Freddie leaving the manse. We see
Seen Tony like purring through the window.
yeah, and Hamish walking down the road and Ishbel delivering food and things like that. And then back at the property, they decide they need to go back to the property and try and find some more stuff. And before that, we hear, or Richmond and Sarah, as they're on their way, we hear Richmond and Sarah saying about arguing, not wanting to be with one another. And, you know, it meant that they took a step back and went, you know, do we want this or do we, you know, pursue our relationship?
That's the conversations we have every week.
That's literally me and you. After every recording, we're like, do we want to carry on doing this or just going to keep fighting about who the killer is?
Well, they had that conversation, and this is where I thought it would maybe change. If it was going to change, it's last episode. We're still 15 minutes deep at this point. I thought if it's going to change, it's got to change now. Was when Sarah said that she doesn't want another picture up on this wall.
Yeah.
And I thought you might have to.
You might end up screwing that up and putting someone else in place of Ishbel. Didn't come to it. No, didn't happen. But yeah, where you say we have that conversation, I've literally got like me and you, Jace.
So have I. me and you, Mike. I've got right now.
Anyway, they look around the rooms. Is there anything in there? Is there anything telling us that this is Ishbel's room, or there's a picture of Ishbel and her son in this room?
Also, there's a Bible and a massive cross above the bed.
Yeah.
And then, a flowery sort of duvet. And
then the most tweets that I got this evening, well, until now, because there's shitloads coming in. One of the best things to represent Logan's room.
Tissue on the floor.
Yeah, Kleenex.
Brilliant.
That's so good.
It's like, oh, it looks like a boy's room. It's like you could show anything in there. You could show absolutely anything. The posters, I'm sure he's got a guitar, like the games console. No, we're just zooming on a dirty tissue by Simon's foot.
So at this point, I tweeted saying, well, Logan can just prove his innocence by showing that he was on Pornhub at that time of night. And then what fucking happened? I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
Fantastic.
I was just making a joke about the Kleenex. Anyway, they found the laptop. And at this point, they've had Logan and Ishbel in custody for 20 hours. So they've only got 4 left. Time is really against them. Sarah's back at interviewing. And we then see more of the call between Logan and Ishbel.
Yeah,
Logan.
I was happy with Logan here. Because Logan called the dictaphone a recorder.
Nice.
And I thought that's good.
That wasn't the only time it was called something different as well, because Claire Mitchell QC later on calls it a dictating machine. I think she knows the dictaphone joke.
Yeah, but that's another joke in itself.
Dictating. Honestly.
Taking machine.
Oh, taking? Yeah. Shit.
That's what it sounded like.
Anyway, so I'm lost. I'm just lost now. No, we see the call between the two. A load more no comments. This could have easily been a no comment edit. There was so many no comments. Before I go on, Beth messaged me very early on, and I'm just remembering it now. Can't remember his surname, but Steve from Stranger Things. What's his damn name? She literally tweeted me that name, and it is Logan is basically that guy, Steve from Stranger Things. You know, the older kid that hangs out with. What's his name? Begin with H, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, I just thought, yes, it's been bugging me for a long time. Who he reminds me of? He's got
Steve Harrington.
Harrington, thank you.
By Joe Carey plays Steve Harrington.
Oh yeah, right. IMDb, thanks. Anyway, so they're listening literally on IMDb. Brilliant. So Logan begins to crack. He was, he said he was at home on his computer, and at one point I put, he's probably searching for our latest podcast, and then you find out his porn history, And maybe he's not using the Kleenex to listen to us. I'm not sure that's the case. But Logan and Ishbel are released, as you mentioned. One of them we know killed their husband. They look at Logan's PC history. Did you hear about what else was on there along with porn?
What's that?
Well, he was watching porn for like 3 hours. I'm sure it was like 11 till 2 in the morning or something like that. That's a marathon.
That's unrealistic, Rankin.
Surely he's pressed play and gone out and killed someone and left his laptop on.
If anything, that is the best alibi. Because no one watches it for 3 hours.
I've never watched it, so I wouldn't know.
What is it?
You had to Google it. Anyway, he was also looking on eBay for some fishing equipment. He was looking at Satan's Rage. I'm not sure what that is, but then I did notice his manic satanic sticker on his laptop, which I quite enjoy laptop stickers, to be honest. So Ishbel is now the prime suspect.
Has he never heard of like incognito mode?
I don't know how much more access the police get, because were they just looking through browser history, or they go into like into the depths of the hard drive? You know what I mean? Like, it must be recorded somewhere. I don't know. Why are you now tipping acid onto your hard drive?
What have we got that drill out? Drilling my hard drive.
So anyway, we hear Claire Mitchell QC show me the evidence. They get pumped right up before they go in front of Claire Mitchell QC, and we then see the church scene, which, I mean, added a little bit, knowing that there's still all these people that, you know, could potentially be the murderer. And Richard and Sarah have to go and present their evidence to Palm and CMQC, Claire Mitchell QC. We hear a few new things. I didn't know that Ishbel's hair was at the scene, but as pointed out by many people on Twitter, could have been there when she got there days after, or the day after.
Oh, yeah, we didn't think of that. Did she go in? Yeah, maybe.
Along with all their other evidence, one bit was including the fact that Ishbel hates Charlie for being a lesbian. Oh, and the dictaphone, the fact that there was the 14-minute phone call. And they say that Ishbel has a motive, which is the blackmail of Logan, and she's protecting her son. And then there's a break, the best cliffhanger of the series, because she's like, oh, let me tell you what I think. And then when it came out after the break, you see like the build up, and you see Freddie was there. You find out all these things about Freddie was there, and there's all this stuff going on. And like you see Gene, and you see, as you say, Tony, you see Hamish walking along the road and Freddie driving past.
Yeah,
and
it seems like everyone's going
things.
there or going around there.
And that starts to begin. And I'm thinking at this point, right, it's the last 15 minutes now. What they're going to do is show exactly as it played out, who went where. You'd see every scene, who was there, who visited, who eventually stabbed them. And if that person was Ishbel, they'd say congratulations. But if it wasn't, they'd say commiserations. Now, another thing someone has pointed out on Twitter is, wouldn't it have been better, and we'll get to the ending and everything like that, but wouldn't it have been better if that was the way it played? And it was very much, oh, look, regardless of you getting the right or wrong person, guys, you did enough to get Claire Mitchell QC to allow you to make the arrest, and that was good enough, sort of thing, to win the money.
Yeah.
Rather than it being a hat to be that person. Because I
think I'd prefer that.
Yeah, 100%. And also, it's because I think Ishbel being the killer was pretty weak in the end. Again, hold it. We will get to it.
A few things.
Yeah, I've still got loads left of the episode. Well, not loads, but still got a bit more.
This is I think before.
Oh, they present. Yeah.
I think it's Macca in his little interview. It did make me laugh when he says about, obviously, looking for evidence. They need to make sure they've backed up with evidence before they present it.
Yeah.
And he goes, we're looking for the smoking gun. And I was thinking, there's a stab wound to me. Like, what are you investigating?
Oh, dear me.
And there's still no Kerry. I thought that was weird. I thought, considering...
Mate, let's get into it, because there are questions like that. There are questions like that at the end. Okay, there are.
Okay, I'll leave that one to
so,
you then.
It won't be long before we get there. So there is a thin circumstantial case. This is where she mentioned the dictating machine, Claire Mitchell. I thought that was brilliant. It was Ishbel. We see it unfold. We see her inserting the bread knife, into Charlie, and that may actually literally be the end, because then they talk to her, don't they, in church? They all come out of the church, they take her back in and question her, and she breaks down and admits it and says, yeah, I did it. I was protecting my boy and all this. Now. Wasn't quite the Rankin twist we thought, with Ishbel being mum of Charlie as well, or anything like that. Perhaps the Rankin twist was actually the alibi that Logan had when he was on the internet for 3 hours.
That's what he was doing.
But for me, and I don't know if we talk ending now, I've got it a bit lower down in the structure of this, but too many questions outstanding. And I know that's the case with every murder mystery. There's always things outstanding. But who was Jane? What did that part play? Because that was definitely on a board, but it was never mentioned in the episode. So we can forgive it in terms of it was never raised, like a lot of the other things. But Jane was clearly something Charlie had, not AKA an alias or something like that. Or could it have just been a Jane Doe at the very start before they even knew who she was? Don't know. Kerry being on the phone, all that did was tie together the IVF, and that was it. But I don't mind that so much.
But I feel like that, considering you've seen Jean, like the fact she's having IVF, she's like a significant other, massively. And why has she gone to the island without her? Do you know what I mean? That's why didn't they contact her?
And why IVF just before you fuck off to?
Yeah, why? You know, why didn't they just even talk to her, like Kerry, and say, right, why did she up sticks and leave?
But also, what happens in Glasgow stays in Glasgow.
Yeah, what happened in Glasgow?
Yeah, here's my thought. There were 8 alternate endings for this series. No matter who they picked, with it being series 1 and with it being 50 grand on the line, all that sort of thing, I don't think it mattered who they chose. They ran out of time towards the end. It was filmed over 8 days. They had a limited amount of time to get it all done. And ultimately it came down to, we've written this massively convoluted story where we've got 8 different individuals who it could be. You go for it. And that one team at the end, because they got through the 4 rounds to become the last team, it's a bit harsh at that point to take 50 grand away from them. And they filmed, maybe even didn't even need to film it. Perhaps they only filmed the one after the event. But when they did the arrest and everything like that, they went back and they said, yep, that's exactly right. And here's how it went down. But if they'd have gone with Freddie and they'd had enough evidence on Freddie, I don't think there was enough evidence of Freddie, but you know what I mean? If they'd have gone down that route, perhaps they'd have found a way. Because Freddie, otherwise, what the fuck was Freddie doing there? Why was Freddie even there? Talking to her, there was another voice. Why couldn't they have made that Ishbel? She was there a bit earlier when she was delivering. I know what I mean, yeah. I just think that I think there's enough in this, knowing what we know about the whole backstory of everybody, there was enough to make 8 alternate endings that fit to whoever they picked. And if you asked anyone at the production company, they'd say, no, it's definitely just the one ending. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I feel that, I mean, the whole Gregor thing, self-defense.
Yeah.
But ultimately they murdered him.
That was the twist. That was the twist, that they did that, but they didn't do Charlie, you know? Yeah,
and that's why, and the fact that they're wasting time getting that out of them. Yeah. That there's also a murderer not in custody.
Yeah, that's where I wanted like an episode 7 for there to be more. If they had that extra bit of time, they could have made a much more solid ending.
And correct me if you think I'm talking rubbish, but killing someone in self-defense doesn't make you a killer. Do you mean it feels like
no? I agree entirely. If you're being strangled, you have every right to hit someone around the head with a poker. Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But this is it. Like, in Ishbel had to kill 2 people on the island. Seems a bit like give someone else a chance.
Yeah, especially when you had the likes of Tony, who had a backstory which you think, shit, he was in the dark underground of Glasgow. You got Freddie, who's clearly a mobster. You know, there's all sorts of things like that.
Sonia, we didn't even see. We didn't even see Sonia.
No.
For the last maybe 2 hours, we haven't seen Sonia.
No. And I think that's where I honestly think honestly think there's a better ending. And I think
But is it because we've spoken to so many people that we've literally come up with a better ending in our head because we've had time to think about it?
maybe
You know, we've had what I've had.
if we'd watched
Charlie
this
as a
6
double
hours
agent.
straight and just watched it start to finish without having these conversations,
Yeah,
would we have just gone, oh yeah, it's definitely
we
Ishmael?
had Alicia as Kerry, didn't we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've had all sorts of stuff. I just feel
We had Jean doing it.
Ishbel can't be the resident murderer. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't give her Gregor and Charlie.
Not when there were bad people there. Like, she's bad. She's killed someone, but she's not bad. Like, obviously she's bad. She's killed Charlie now, but she wasn't like. I mean, don't get me wrong. She was homophobe, so maybe she should be in jail. But she wasn't a murderer in the sense that prior to killing Charlie, she wasn't that bad person. Whereas Freddy's clearly killed people in the past
Yeah, no, definitely.
and got away with it.
Yeah. And she threw the murder weapon in the water.
Yeah. But again, if they'd have gone down a different line of inquiry, would they have found a murder weapon elsewhere? Because it would have been.
Yeah, I just thought for the murder weapon was never a big talking point.
No. What about her phone? The fact that we saw her phone, she was ringing Kerry, and we never ever saw her mobile phone. Who rang her? Why wouldn't they speak to Kerry and things like that? What happened to her phone?
I know we've only got like 6 hours, haven't we?
No. Why has she got $2,000 and a passport? I know there's red herrings. Of course there is. But forgetting the ending.
Who would you been satisfied it would have been?
Oh, do you know what?
Like when she said, when they said, all right, we killed Gregor.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, that's fine. You're free to go.
Yeah.
Although you've killed someone. Fine.
Yeah. Well, then this is where, for me, what I wanted to have been was Claire Mitchell has said that cliffhanger at the end. She's gone, now, have you provided me with enough evidence? And then when it comes back after the break, it shows what really went down. And then you see it from start to finish. Genuinely, anyone. I'll take anyone at that point. And then for them to say, no, it couldn't have been Ishbel. You ever seen Murder in Successville with Tom Davis, comedian? And then you've got an actor playing Gordon Ramsay, who's the chief of police. And he's coming, he's like, no, what the fuck are you doing here? Of course it's not that person. They were in, and I'd want that. I want Palm to come along and be like, Gordon Ramsay, fake Gordon Ramsay, and be like, no, you fucked up. Logan was watching porn. Ishbel was delivering food to Hamish.
Watching
it
Logan.
Couldn't have been. Yeah. I was wondering what the banging was coming from Logan's room.
Yeah.
Ishbel was trying to blow her nose and can't find the tissues anywhere. Like, come on, man. No, I don't know. I think maybe we'll sleep on it and we might feel a bit differently about it. And I think that overall as a series, we've had an absolute blast doing this. And I think it's got legs, and I think it's cracking. Like it's a great idea. It's a great concept and everything like that. And I think until the very end, I was like, that's pretty smart. It's just the final ending. I wanted more, and I think maybe the twist came too soon in the last episode. If that had been held back a little bit, and then we found out about Gregor, maybe we've had a week to think about Gregor, and now we thought, shit, there's going to be another twist.
Yeah, I don't think it's a twist really. I just think that you can't have her killing Gregor and Charlie.
No,
personally. Do you mean because they killed Gregor for the right reasons?
Yeah, they absolutely did.
They covered it up. They were both in questioning. They both pretty much broke.
Yeah.
They realized they messed up, and then even when they you say about Charlie's like, I'll take this dictaphone to the police. The dictaphone did go to the police. The police didn't give a fuck. They let him go. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true because once they'd found, that's interesting actually. So the police found out, and they're like, yeah, well, we understand it was self-defense. So all they needed to do was take themselves to the police. And
all they had to do was saying, yeah, this is what happened. Charlie did have something on us. And it was the fact that I murdered my husband in self-defense. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you would have been like, oh shit, it can't be Ishmael,
We've definitely got the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she didn't have to be the killer. I think that's what's annoyed me. Like, that it was so hung up on her. She killed Charlie to protect her son for killing the husband, but the police do not care that she killed her husband. Like, Charlie could have walked down the police station. They could have had that little scuffle in the manse, and she's like, "I'll take this to police in the morning." And this Ishbel could have left thinking, "Oh no." She could have took it in the morning, and the policeman, "Oh, yeah, don't about it."
But
And Charlie would still be alive.
Yeah, she didn't know that though.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes it so like annoying for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
No edit, mate. You got to talk. I thought it was going to be a long silence.
No, I'm still thinking. We'll go to the tweets, mate. We'll go to the tweets. There's some more questions that we'll ask a bit later on, but we'll go to some of the tweets. So, first of all, had some tweets and messages on the build up to the episode. Lewis Fryer on Instagram reminded us of a comment he posted 4 weeks ago saying Ishbal or Logan did it. And I've put, now Future Mike will know the outcome. But I'm impressed that he had this or them as his number one suspects back then. Because, yeah, he messaged a while back saying it's going to be these guys in episode 2 or 3. It's like, fair play, mate. Fair play.
That is good.
He also messaged since and said, "Oh my God, I cannot believe what I just watched." And this is on Instagram. And I put happy or disappointed. He's put both. Happy for Sarah and Richmond, but no more Murder Island. We really need a series 2. We really need a Sarah and Richmond on the bonus episode. Well, we can see what we can do. No, it's happening. It's definitely happening. The other thing is I've got a load of screenshots of tweets before I go into, because loads of tweets have come in since, but there is stuff on my phone that I've tried to save.
Sorry, before you go.
No, go.
I think you tweeted it about what I texted you earlier, saying about how I maybe didn't think it was Ishbel and Logan because they dumped Gregor's body in the sea.
Yes, yeah.
But then Ishbel was more than happy to leave Charlie's body. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Rather
but then
than like,
obviously she was going back there the next morning, maybe.
Yeah, but maybe ringing her son, saying, "Logan, can you get off the laptop? we've got another one to die. We've got another one. Get the boat ready."
Remember when you were 15 and you helped me wrap your dad in tarp?
Yeah. See if we've got any black bags left, because we use them. We fly through them at this point.
Superb. So I can't find the start of their tweet, but Abs, it's her birthday actually tomorrow. So
I thought
happy
it was Abs
birthday,
from
Abs.
like 5.
It is Abs from 5. No, it's someone else called Abs who follows us. Abs from 5 doesn't, sadly. Maybe when we do the next series, he might be into it. But no, Abs is actually her birthday. I say tomorrow. Her birthday is the 10th of November. So for us right now, it's that. But in about an hour, it's going to be the 10th of November. So happy birthday. Also, I think they may have said Sonia, and I can't remember. They put, just make sure I get credit in the podcast if she got it right, but I don't think she did, because I'm pretty sure she said Sonia. Anyway, they will still win the money because they have enough evidence as stated at the start of the show, and it will be a lesson in wrongful conviction. That's fine. I get it, but I would have preferred it if actually they hadn't got the money. I know that sounds wrong. I really wanted them to get the money because I think they're a fantastic pair, but I think it would have been a lesson for us to say, no, you still only had wafer thin evidence, didn't you? Yeah, there we go. Logan looks like Steve Harrington. I could have just looked at the tweet. And here's my tweet from earlier. Logan's being saved due to his search history. Probably got some message saying lonely girls on her shirt are waiting for you, hence the tissues under the bed. And then Pete's put, you were right. Yeah, I was. Tedley Manor. I always mention Tedley Manor, but he gets me every time. Logan's alibi was that he was wanking. Ask him now, and he'd probably admit to killing Charlie so he could be cleared at looking at porn.
Yeah, what's worse?
Oh, that's superb. Holly has put pretty good ep, but slightly disappointed in the end. Not enough real evidence. Felt too fanciful with a QC and no final twist. I don't know. Maybe it could never completely live up to the hype. And I do agree with that entirely. And I think we are partly responsible for
I think we're fully responsible for it.
Overhype that between ourselves, that we've been bigging this up in these wacky and wild solutions that we've been coming up with.
Yeah, I bet Rankin's there with a list being like, next 10 books, this is what's happening. This is every twist for his next 10 books.
Just search the hashtag and you find it, yeah. Connor has put, the series was great apart from the ending, severe lack of evidence, and she just happens to confess, disappointed. Scott's put, cracking final 2 episodes to the show. They really brought it to a great end. Also did a great job of building a picture of who Rich and Sarah were, making them so bloody relatable. You couldn't help but want them to win. Again, Rich and Sarah were fantastic. Like, there's no questioning. They were the best 2. From the start, we called it out straight away, saying they were the best 2 investigators on there, and they fully deserved to win it. Ms. Marple, goosebumps, huge congrats to Sarah and Richmond. What a team. Really enjoyed this series, and the podcasts, of course. Thanks. I had to read this one, didn't I? Credit to the writer and makers. Well, that's me and you. I think she means of the show. As I change my mind every 15 minutes on who I thought the killer was. Surviving 2021. I still want to know what the fuck happened in Glasgow. We want answers, damn it. And then Debbie Blackman, bit anticlimactic, was hoping for a twist as they had essentially guessed halfway through the series, but found myself surprisingly hooked, hoping for a second series. Stephen F, loved the series, chuffed for Richmond and Sarah, just not sure what extra evidence they could have been expected to have found or presented to the QC to have a stronger case rather than just wafer thin, and no bloody peacock.
Yeah, Pete, there was no peacock this episode, which was disappointing.
And then finally, Pete's Pages has come and said, hopefully you either read this out and I got the right person. So credit to Pete, you did get the right person. I think he's telling me that. I need to read his old tweet to know. But yeah.
I thought you meant he's tweeting the right people.
I got the right person. Yes, I am the right person. Although he's actually meant to be tweeting Peter Crouch podcast.
Yeah.
He said, no, he got the right person and why last week. But if you don't, then know that you've made watching this so much fun with your podcasts. I've really enjoyed the journey with you guys. All the best. Well, thanks, man.
That's nice, isn't it?
That's really nice. And I promise that's not my mum's account.
That's some positive feedback. Rather than all the negative feedback we get.
Rather than some of the negative feedback that we got with Facebook as of late. I've got a little bit to do you know what? I wrote about 150 words on the episode on Facebook recently, and that someone sort of publicly put it out there that they thought we were prattling on, that they couldn't last more than 3 minutes. I think they meant listening to us and not in the sack. I'm not making that claim.
Or just listening to us.
But yeah, they also felt it necessary to then keep going and having a few digs and saying that they'd rather do something much more valuable with their time, like rewatching Murder Island for the umpteenth time. I'm not sure how many times.
How many times do you watch an episode?
Me?
Yeah.
1. Oh, and then obviously later in the week when I'm trying to clip out little GIFs and things, I watch it another time, but not like all the way through. I just look for the bits where the dictaphone edit was the most I'd watched of a second watch through. I can't get that obsessed with anything, like, you know, apart from Back to the Future. I've watched that 1,000 times. We've got a load of tweets that have come back since we started recording. Before I do read those, I just screenshot one more, which was Alan Sharp calling us out. Which summary episode is coming first? Who Done It or Murder Island?
He didn't say that, did he?
He did, and I thought, we were hoping people would forget that we owe them a Who Done It bonus episode. And to be fair, it's written. We've just not recorded it yet because we've found better things to do with our time.
Murder Island pretty much came out as we were planning to do it.
Yeah,
We had to shift
we took a bit of an extended break because of the summer holidays and being allowed out post-COVID.
We were agile and had to shift our weight towards Murder Island.
Exactly. Alan, the chap who won our Ghost Watch DVD contest a couple of weeks ago, I honestly think it would have worked better if they won based on having enough evidence to convict, and then a flashback showed that they had the wrong person. It would have satisfied the reality part and the drama part of it. 100%. Bang on. Now then, we do need to fill this silence because this is where I pull up the tweets and it's like there's too many and my phone just, it's all over the place. I just want to quickly scan and see if there are any more. A lot of it is just likes and retweets and things like that. But
I thought just randomly going back, I'm looking at my notes and some of it's just so stupid. But I thought this is the last Murder Island episode, so I might just say it. The vicar was doing sort of a sermon, wasn't he? And just speaking to the
congregation.
Yeah. And I think he wanted to say wrath.
Okay.
I'm sure he said wrath.
Now, I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. And that guy is a voiceover artist because Mike Harmston has been messaging us during the show saying that guy's voice is recognizable. I'm going to do a quick search. And he looked, and I think he's one of the exec producers, but also voices over Hunted.
Okay.
So
he just took me by surprise.
Wrath. I don't know. Wrath. Yeah, I don't know. Ooh.
I thought like Tim Roth.
I think we're going to need some religious folk to tell us because we don't have a clue. You and I, we're useless. Anything religion,
we're godless.
Ishbel would be frowning down upon us. So yeah, I really don't know.
She's not dead.
Yeah, from a prison cell that's now in the sky. Have they not executed her yet? Is that not? Surely not in the remote islands of Scotland. They just hang you or something. I don't know.
It's like the Wicker Man.
Yeah. Exactly. We've got Glasgow threw me way off. I was thinking rape, drugs, pregnancy. There's so many. I mean, everybody's tweeting this. I will get round to reading them all, tweeting them all. But there's so much. I'm going to miss Hamish. That's quite a nice little.
That's the thing. Like even in the last, I know the last episode was going to be a lot of who is it, but we didn't see Sonia, didn't see Tony, didn't see Hamish, didn't see anybody.
No. The end we didn't see
Peacock, didn't see. And it's funny that it was Ishbel, considering she wasn't even a suspect at the start.
True.
It's all just come from Logan.
Yeah, it would have been better if it was Logan or Ishbel protecting Logan because Logan killed his father or something. Just something, man. Just something.
That's pretty much what it was. You just explained the story.
I didn't mean I meant as in protecting Logan because he'd killed Gregor or something. You know what I mean? That that he was responsible for his dad's death or something, as opposed to her just killing them both.
Yeah. It's strange that Charlie was like crawl into a bedroom as well.
Yeah.
Anything I don't know. I'm just looking far too into it now.
She was pointing, like on a sundial, like Mr. Burns.
She was talking. Yeah. She was pointing to like an I and a C.
And a C. I was thinking, what's her last name? Yeah, Corey. She was actually pointing to Coronation Street, but the channel had changed.
Yeah. What was time of death? What channel was it on?
Yeah, ITV4 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, the giveaway. We had tweets and Instagram messages associated with the giveaway that we set up last week. Yeah, last week. I've got 17 entries in total. And I'll just check the hashtag one final time because I just need to make sure that no one came in last minute before the episode ended.
Is this like the lottery where you're going to do some like live random draw?
I'm literally going to do a live random draw. I just need to check that we've got, you've got to be in it to win it. I'm just making sure that everybody's in it. So there are no new tweets on there. So that's really good. So we've got the 17. Oh shit, I've got 18 now. Okay, well it's 18. I got the number wrong. There are 18. So we have got Miss Gia, Lucy, Tedley Manor, Mike Harmiston.
You literally reading all 18 out.
Chris Perry, Abs, Scott, Stephen, Ms. Marple, Perry's mom, Holly, Beth, Pete, Andrew, Mrs. Taylor, I don't know why I said it like that, Adrienne King, Mike the Kitman, and Heather. So I'm going to pull up Google Chrome and I'm going to do random number spin. Let me just pull that up. And the winner is number 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 abs, but not abs from 5. Not abs from 5. So I don't know. Can I screen share to verify this, or shall I just take a photo right now of like? I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I just want to sort of verify that we've got a 6 and a 6. I know it's not like completely above board because it is a recording, so nobody can actually see this. It's like radio when they say, "Oh, look at that nice blue thing over there." You're like, "What?" But there is number 6, and the 6th one down is abs. Awesome. Cool. Congratulations, abs. We'll post the result on Twitter. You might see it on Twitter before you actually hear the podcast, and we'll give you a shout so we can send you your prize. Before we draw to a close, we do need to mention the bonus content. As per usual, we'll have a couple of videos that we'll release where we've had a chat with some of the contestants from the show. There was at one point today where I thought only one of them was going to happen and the other one was going to be really difficult, but I think we've overcome the technical issues and we should therefore be absolutely fine. And no, that's not because we've struggled to teach Peacock how to use Zoom. It's just we're trying to get some of them to pick up Logan's laptop from the evidence locker, sticky keys or something. I'm not. I'm not yet sure we'll do a bonus episode, like a bonus podcast episode. We'll obviously release the videos, but whether or not we do a bonus podcast episode, because we'll be moving on very quickly to a new series. So just in case we don't find a time to record the bonus episode, I do just have a couple of questions for you. We've mentioned the ending quite a lot, but overall for the whole series, 2-word summary.
Oh, can't do two-word summary at the end, like the whole thing.
All right.
Just go on then for you. For
me, season 2. I do desperately want a second season. I think it's got legs.
Yeah, and I'm not doing 2 words, but I loved how everyone got involved, and I think, like you said, the ending maybe was an anticlimax because everybody was getting so involved throughout the week.
Yeah.
So I think it needs a season 2, or it needs something to follow this up.
With that interactive engagement.
With that interactive engagement and the audience participation. It made it. Like, you see some of the mad theories coming out, but like that were still quite viable.
Mm.
And you like.
I think there still will be. I think there still will be. People will be talking about it for days.
People looking at whiteboards in the background, like comparing scenes, making pages and pages of notes.
That's just me.
That's not just like the audience watching a show. That's them truly invested.
Yeah,
in the murder.
It was one of those as well, where it wasn't just drama, and I think it was because there was that realistic element. It felt like it could be solved by someone at home, like
and maybe like if they, I don't know how it works and stuff, but obviously this was part game show, part drama, but like how far could you push it for the audience participation? Do you mean how much could you really feed the audience?
Oh, because the audience were just using what they saw on screen, but actually, STV, Channel 4, whoever could have easily just there is
the audience is there to solve it.
Yeah,
rather than a.
Oh, definitely. You could easily set up a Murder Island account itself, or a Hersher Island Gazette, or something, or anything like that, and have that as releasing news stories and things like that based on events for more information.
Yeah, but I agree, completely agree. There is legs in the whole concept.
Definitely something to it. What would you have changed? I know we're obviously talking, if that is a season 2 or something like that. Is there anything? Let's forget the ending. For me, and this is only just because I wrote these questions, so it's easy for me to sort of say it and then prompt. I wish that we'd have had people being dismissed as suspects, so remove them as cleared as suspects, and then
I didn't think of that. No, definitely,
because then you could have easily said, "Oh, week 1, it wasn't Hamish because of XYZ. Week 2, it wasn't." You could get rid of a few.
You had to find evidence to disprove.
Yeah, and then if it had come down to those final 3, 4, whatever, then it would have been a lot more plausible as to why it would have been those. But with there being 8 potential other suspects, it left us guessing far too much. Not far too much. That's wrong. It's not far too much, but I think that might have made the difference, perhaps. And finally, I've already mentioned that we've had a blast covering Murder Island. Our listeners and followers have increased significantly, and we want everyone to know that we fully appreciate the support and engagement that we've received over the last 5 or 6 weeks. It's been a real joy. There have been a few times where we've been knocked down a peg or two, as we mentioned earlier on Facebook, but we're not going to dwell on that. I just can't be bothered to get into it. Ultimately,
they're lucky that I'm not on there.
You'd have been banned. Look, ultimately, what we do is very much a light-hearted look at the shows that we think we can talk about and get something out of. And that is why our next series, coming out in just a few weeks' time, actually, is Killer Camp. Genuinely one of the cheesiest shows ever made, but we're already having a lot of fun covering it and would love it if you can join us from November 22nd, where we'll release episode 1. And from us, that's it for Murder Island.